You are loved right now, in this very moment, exactly as you are. Not because of what you've done, not because of what you're going to do, but simply because you exist. This is the truth that changes everything. This is the truth that can free you from every chain you've wrapped around yourself. God's love for you isn't conditional. It doesn't wait for you to be perfect. It doesn't require you to earn it through good behavior or spiritual practices. It's already there, already complete, already surrounding you like the air you breathe. Think about that for a moment. The source of all creation, the infinite intelligence that made the stars and the oceans and every living thing, loves you completely right now, not tomorrow when you're better, not next year when you've achieved your goals. Right now, as you sit here with all your flaws and fears and doubts, you are loved. Most of us spend our entire lives trying to earn love. We work harder, achieve more, try to be better people, all in the hope that someday we'll finally be worthy of love. But that's backwards. That's the ego talking. The ego tells you that you're separate from God, that you need to do something to bridge that gap. But there is no gap. There never was. You came from God. You are a piece of that infinite source. How could God not love you? That would be like the ocean, not loving a wave. When you truly understand this, when you really let it sink into your bones, everything changes. All that anxiety about whether you're good enough, all that fear about whether you'll be accepted, all that desperate striving to prove your worth, it can all fall away. Because you're already worthy. You were born worthy. You'll die worthy. Your worth isn't something you earn. It's something you are. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about all the things you've done wrong, all the mistakes, all the times you hurt someone, all the ways you've fallen short. And you're wondering how God could possibly love you despite all of that. But that's still the ego talking. That's still the belief that love is conditional, that it has to be earned. God's love isn't like human love. It doesn't judge. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't withdraw when you make a mistake. It's like the sun. It shines on everyone equally, whether they're saints or sinners, whether they believe in it or not. The sun doesn't choose who gets its light. It just shines. That's what it does. And God's love is the same way. It just is. It's the fundamental nature of the universe. Now, you might be carrying around guilt about things you've done. You might have hurt people. You might have made choices you regret. That's part of being human. But here's what you need to understand. Guilt isn't coming from God. God isn't sitting up there disappointed in you, waiting for you to do penance. That's a story we tell ourselves. That's our own inner critic, dressed up in religious clothes. Real spiritual growth doesn't come from guilt. It comes from love. When you truly understand that you're loved unconditionally, when you really feel that love in your heart, that's when you naturally start to change. Not because you're trying to earn love, but because love transforms you from the inside out. When you feel loved, you want to share that love with others. When you know you're worthy, you stop doing things that contradict your worth. The problem is that most of us were taught the opposite. We were taught that God's love is something we have to work for. We were taught about sin and punishment and unworthiness. We were taught to fear God instead of to love God. And all of that teaching created a wall between us and the truth. It made us feel separate from our source. It made us forget who we really are. But who you really are is a spiritual being having a human experience. You're not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. You're spirit first. Your body is temporary. Your personality is temporary. But your essence, your true self, that's eternal. And that eternal self is connected to God in a way that can never be broken. It's not a connection you have to create. It's a connection that already exists. It's always been there. When you were born, you knew this truth. You came into this world connected to your source. You didn't doubt your worth. You didn't question whether you were loved. You just were. You existed in a state of pure being, pure presence. But then you started to learn. You started to absorb the beliefs of the people around you. You started to hear messages about how you should be, who you should become, what you needed to do to be acceptable. And slowly, layer by layer, you forgot the truth. You forgot that you were already perfect, already whole, already loved. You started to believe that you needed to be different, that you needed to fix yourself, that you needed to earn your place in the world. But none of that was ever true. It was just conditioning. It was just programming. And programming can be changed. The first step in changing it is to recognize it. Start to notice all the ways you tell yourself you're not good enough. Notice the voice in your head that criticizes you, that tells you you should be doing more, being more, achieving more. That voice isn't God. That voice isn't even really you. It's just old programming, running like a tape in your mind. Once you notice it, you can start to question it. Is it really true that you're not good enough? Is it really true that you have to earn love? Is it really true that God is disappointed in you? Or are those just thoughts, just beliefs you picked up somewhere along the way? And if they're just beliefs, can you choose different ones? You can. You absolutely can. You can choose to believe the truth instead. And the truth is that you are loved, you are worthy, you are enough, exactly as you are right now. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. This is recognizing the truth that's always been there, buried under all those layers of false beliefs. When you start to live from this truth, your whole life changes. You stop seeking approval from others because you don't need it anymore. You already have the only approval that matters. You have God's love. You stop comparing yourself to others because there's no competition. Everyone is loved equally. Everyone is worthy. You stop trying to control everything because you trust that you're being guided, that you're being supported, that the universe is on your side. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. You'll still face challenges. You'll still experience loss and pain and disappointment. But you'll face those things differently. Instead of feeling like the universe is punishing you or testing you, you'll understand that challenges are part of growth. They're opportunities to expand, to learn, to become more of who you really are. And when you're going through difficult times, you won't feel alone. You'll know that you're supported. You'll know that you're loved. You'll know that this difficult moment is just a moment, and that your worth, your value, your connection to God, none of that changes based on your circumstances. This is such a different way of living than what most of us were taught. Most of us were taught to tie our worth to our accomplishments, to our relationships, to what other people think of us. We were taught that we're only as good as our last success. We were taught to fear failure because failure means we're not good enough. But what if failure is just feedback? What if mistakes are just part of learning? What if your worth has absolutely nothing to do with your performance in life? What if you could fail at everything you try and still be completely loved, completely worthy, completely whole? That's the truth. That's the reality. Your worth is inherent. It's not something you achieve. It's something you are. And God's love for you is unwavering. It doesn't increase when you do something good. It doesn't decrease when you do something you regret. It's constant, like the sun, like the sky, like the earth beneath your feet. Now, some people hear this and they worry that it means there's no reason to grow, no reason to improve, no reason to work on yourself. But that's not true at all. When you truly understand that you're loved unconditionally, that's when real growth happens, because you're not growing from a place of lack anymore. You're not trying to fix yourself because you're broken. You're expanding because that's the natural direction of life. Think about a flower. A flower doesn't try to bloom. It doesn't worry about whether it's good enough. It doesn't compare itself to other flowers. It just grows naturally, expressing its true nature. That's what happens when you understand you're already loved. You start to express your true nature. You start to bloom. Not because you're trying to earn anything, but because that's what you're designed to do. And your true nature is beautiful. Your true nature is creative, loving, joyful, and peaceful. That's who you are underneath all the fear and doubt and worry. That's who you are when you're not trying to be someone else. That's who you are when you're connected to your source. The challenge is that we've spent so long disconnected from our source that we've forgotten what that connection feels like. We've been living in our heads, trapped in our thoughts, believing everything our ego tells us. We've been so busy doing that we've forgotten how to just be. We've been so focused on the future or the past that we've missed the present moment, which is the only place where God can be experienced. Because God isn't in the past. The past is gone. It's just a memory. And God isn't in the future. The future hasn't happened yet. It's just imagination. God is here, now, in this moment. And the only way to experience God's love is to be here now, present, awake, aware. When you're present, you notice things you usually miss. You notice the beauty around you. You notice the miracles that are happening constantly. You notice the way everything is connected. You notice that you're not separate from life. You are life. You're not in the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you. This is what the great spiritual teachers have been trying to tell us for thousands of years. You are not separate from God. You are one with God. Not in some distant, theoretical way, but right now, in reality. The air you breathe is God's breath. The awareness that allows you to read these words is God's awareness. The love you feel in your heart when you see a sunset or hold a child or help a stranger, that's God's love flowing through you. You're not trying to get to God. You're already there. You're not trying to earn God's love. You already have it. You're not trying to become spiritual. You already are spiritual. The journey isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about remembering what you've always been. And when you remember, when you really get it, you stop living in fear. Fear comes from the belief that you're separate, that you're alone, that you have to protect yourself. But when you know you're connected to infinite source, what is there to fear? When you know you're loved unconditionally, what is there to prove? When you know you're eternal, what can death take from you? This doesn't mean you become reckless or careless. It means you become fearless in a different way. You're free to be yourself. You're free to take risks. You're free to love without holding back. You're free to forgive. You're free to let go. You're free to trust. Trust is such an important word. When you trust that you're loved, that you're guided, that you're supported, you relax. You stop trying to control everything. You stop forcing things to happen. You allow life to flow through you instead of trying to push the river. And paradoxically, that's when things start to work out better than you could have planned. Because your ego can only plan based on what it already knows. But God, the infinite intelligence of the universe, can see possibilities you can't even conceive. When you surrender control and trust that you're being guided, you open yourself up to opportunities and synchronicities and miracles that your limited mind could never have arranged. I'm not talking about passive waiting. I'm not saying you should just sit around and expect God to do everything for you. I'm talking about inspired action. When you're connected to your source, you feel inspired to move in certain directions. You get intuitions. You feel pulled towards certain people or opportunities. And when you follow those intuitions, when you act on those inspirations, things unfold in amazing ways. But when you're disconnected from your source, when you're living in fear and doubt, you don't hear those intuitions. Your mind is too noisy. You're too busy worrying and planning and trying to control everything. You miss the subtle guidance that's always available to you. So how do you quiet your mind? How do you reconnect with your source? It's simpler than you think. You just have to stop. Stop doing for a moment. Stop thinking for a moment. Stop trying for a moment. Just be still. Just be quiet. Just be present. In that stillness, you'll start to feel something. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's just a sense of okayness, a feeling that despite everything, you're all right. That feeling is God's love. That's your connection to Source. It's always there, underneath all the noise. You just have to be still enough to feel it. And the more you practice being still, the more you'll be able to access that feeling, even in the middle of busy times. You'll be able to stay connected to your source even while you're working, even while you're dealing with problems, even while you're navigating challenges. That connection becomes your anchor. It becomes the foundation of your life. When you're anchored in God's love, you can weather any storm. You can face any challenge. You can lose anything material and still have everything that matters. Because what matters isn't what you have or what you do or what you achieve. What matters is who you are. And who you are is a beloved child of the universe, a piece of God experiencing itself in human form. That's not arrogance. That's truth. You're not special because you're better than anyone else. You're special because everyone is special. Everyone is a unique expression of the divine. Everyone is loved equally. Everyone matters. When you understand this about yourself, you start to see it in others too. You start to treat people differently. You start to see the God in everyone you meet. And when you see the God in others, you can't help but treat them with respect and kindness. You can't help but forgive them when they hurt you, because you understand that they're just acting from their own pain, their own fear, their own disconnection from Source. When you see the God in others, you become a healing presence in the world. This is what the world needs right now. Not more judgment, not more division, not more fear. What the world needs is people who remember the truth, who remember that we're all connected, who remember that we're all loved. When enough people remember this, everything will change. But it starts with you. It starts with you remembering that you're loved. You don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to achieve anything. You don't have to become anything. You can know this truth right now. You can feel God's love right now. You can live from that place right now. It's a choice. It's a choice you make in every moment. Will you choose to believe the fearful thoughts in your head, or will you choose to trust in God's love? Will you choose to see yourself as separate and alone, or will you choose to see yourself as connected to all of life? Will you choose to live from your ego, or will you choose to live from your spirit? These aren't one-time choices. They're choices you make over and over, moment by moment, day by day. And every time you choose love over fear, every time you choose trust over control, every time you choose presence over worry, you strengthen your connection to Source. You remember who you really are a little bit more. And as you remember, your life transforms. Not necessarily in external ways, though often that happens too, but definitely in internal ways. You find peace where you used to find anxiety. You find joy where you used to find stress. You find love where you used to find fear. And that internal transformation is worth more than any external success could ever be, because external success is temporary. Money comes and goes. Relationships change. Health fluctuates. Fame fades. But internal peace, the peace that comes from knowing you're loved, that's permanent. That can't be taken away from you. That's yours forever. This is what I want you to understand more than anything else. You are loved, not because of anything you've done, not despite anything you've done, simply because you are. God's love for you is absolute, unwavering, eternal. You can't lose it. You can't damage it. You can't use it up. It's infinite. And when you truly know this, when you live from this knowing, you become a light in the world. You become a reminder to others of who they really are. You become living proof that peace is possible, that joy is available, that love is real. You become what you were always meant to be, a clear expression of God's love in physical form. This isn't about religion. This isn't about following rules or performing rituals or believing certain doctrines. This is about truth. This is about reality. This is about recognizing what's actually true underneath all the stories and beliefs and conditioning. And what's true is that you're not your body. Your body is a temporary vehicle. You're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just mental events passing through your awareness. You're not your emotions. Your emotions are energy in motion, coming and going like weather. You're not even your personality. Your personality is just a collection of habits and patterns you've developed over time. Who you really are is the awareness that witnesses all of these things. You're the consciousness that's aware of your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your personality. You're the space in which all of life happens. And that awareness, that consciousness, that's God experiencing itself as you. When you identify with the awareness instead of with the contents of awareness, everything shifts. You're no longer at the mercy of your thoughts and emotions. You can observe them without being controlled by them. You can feel fear without being fearful. You can have sad thoughts without being sad. You can experience pain without suffering. This is freedom. This is what all the spiritual traditions point to. This is enlightenment, awakening, liberation, whatever you want to call it. It's not some distant goal you have to reach. It's available right now. It's who you already are, underneath all the layers of identification with form. And God's love is what allows you to let go of those identifications. When you know you're loved just for being, you don't need to cling to accomplishments for your worth. When you know you're loved just as you are, you don't need to hide behind masks and personas. When you know you're loved unconditionally, you can show up authentically, vulnerably, completely yourself. That's such a relief. To not have to pretend anymore, to not have to perform anymore, to not have to prove anything anymore. To just be yourself, flaws and all, and know that you're loved. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself. And it's already yours. It's always been yours. You just have to claim it. Claiming it is simple. It doesn't require any special knowledge or training. It just requires willingness. Willingness to let go of the false beliefs you've been carrying. Willingness to question the stories you've been telling yourself. Willingness to be wrong about who you thought you were. Willingness to be loved. Yes, willingness to be loved. Because for many of us, that's actually the hardest part. We're so used to feeling unworthy that accepting love feels uncomfortable. We're so used to criticizing ourselves that treating ourselves with kindness feels foreign. We're so used to striving that resting in God's love feels like giving up. But it's not giving up. It's waking up. It's waking up to the truth of who you are. It's waking up to the love that's always been there. It's waking up to the peace that passes all understanding. And once you wake up, you can never fully go back to sleep. You might forget sometimes. You might get caught up in the drama of life. But you'll always remember eventually. Because once you know the truth, you can't unknow it. So let yourself know it now. Let yourself feel God's love right now. Not as a concept, not as a belief, but as a living reality. Close your eyes if you want. Take a few breaths. Feel your body. Feel the life force moving through you. Feel the awareness that's experiencing this moment. That life force, that awareness, that's God. That's the love that creates and sustains all things. And you are that. You're not separate from it. You are it, expressing as you. When you feel this, even for a moment, everything changes. You realize you've never been alone. You realize you've always been supported. You realize you've always been loved. And that realization is the beginning of true transformation. From that place of feeling loved, you naturally start to make different choices. You naturally start to treat yourself better. You naturally start to follow your intuition. You naturally start to live from your heart instead of from your fears. And as you do that, your life reflects it. Things start to flow more easily. Opportunities show up. Relationships improve. Health gets better. Not because you're trying to make those things happen, but because you're aligned with your true nature, and your true nature is harmony, wholeness, and love. This is the promise. This is what's available to you. Not someday, not after you've done enough spiritual practice. Not after you've learned enough or grown enough or healed enough. Right now, in this moment, God's love is here. It's surrounding you. It's within you. It's you. All you have to do is recognize it. All you have to do is accept it. All you have to do is be it. And being it doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never making mistakes. It doesn't mean always being positive or spiritual or enlightened. It means being real. It means being honest. It means being human while also knowing you're divine. It means living in the world while not being of the world. It means playing the game of life while knowing it's a game. When you know it's a game, you can enjoy it more. You can take it less seriously. You can play full out without being attached to the outcome. You can give your best effort without tying your worth to the results. You can love deeply without needing anything in return. You can live fully without fearing death. This is the freedom that comes from knowing you're loved. This is the joy that's available when you're connected to your source. This is the peace that surpasses understanding. And it's yours. It's always been yours. You just have to remember. So remember now. Remember that you are loved. Remember that you are worthy. Remember that you are enough. Remember that you are not your mistakes. Remember that you are not your past. Remember that you are not your circumstances. Remember that you are a spiritual being, eternal and infinite, having a temporary human experience. And from that remembering, live. Live fully. Love deeply. Laugh often. Give freely. Forgive quickly. Trust completely. Because when you know you're loved by God, you have nothing to fear and nothing to prove. You're free to just be yourself, and that self is beautiful, valuable, and absolutely perfect exactly as it is. This is the truth. This is the message. This is what you need to know more than anything else. God already loves you. Not God will love you if. Not God might love you when. God already loves you completely, perfectly, eternally. Let that truth sink in. Let it change you. Let it free you, because it will. It absolutely will. And that's not a promise for the future. That's an invitation for right now.